Hello there, Jordan Malik here, episode 110 of the Ask Jordan podcast. Hope you're doing well. This is a little different, of course. You might not be used to hearing the jingles before and after, the intro. We've changed the format. So episode 109 was my first episode in a long time. That was around late April 2016. And if you go to episode 109, that'll kind of explain everything, where I've been for several months. I know my last real episode of the Ask Jordan podcast was like November of 2015. So we're back. Many of you asked me to continue. That's why I'm doing this. This is Ask Jordan episode 110. In the archived episodes, you can go see it over at askjordan.net. Again, the format's different. I'm just going to be talking about things where I help encourage you if you're an Amazon seller, or give you some ideas if you're an Amazon seller, that you can also actually take any of these ideas that I'm giving you and apply them to almost any business. But it's going to be focused around Amazon. And I'm so thankful that many of you, when I resumed the podcast, many of you, I'm surprised at the amount of people from all different stages of business said, "Hey, Jordan, I really am thankful that you resumed the podcast, and we love it, especially for newbies." And I'm very flattered. I'm very thankful that you're here with me today. So today's topic, I don't have a title for yet. I will have a title by the time you listen to this. And I guess it's going to be more of like, don't give up. There's been so many changes over the past several years. If you got started on Amazon, even started selling on Amazon even 1 year ago or 2 years ago, it's a very different landscape today because it seems like everybody's selling on Amazon. When I started helping people with podcasts or my blog at honestonlineselling.com, I was one of maybe 6 or 7 semi-well-known experts. Now there's hundreds of experts that are claiming to be experts on Amazon. 70% of them are legit, 30% of them are not. You know, the majority of them have good intentions. And the people who do the scout, people like you that are listening, that need inventory, that are scouting for inventory in retail stores or garage sales, or even if you're doing private label or wholesale or online arbitrage, many of you have spoken up and said it's getting harder, or there's too much competition out there. Jordan, I used to go to a book sale at the library, the annual library book sale 5 years ago or 3 years ago, and there was me and one other scanner. Now there's 10. And I get it. By the way, if you want to sound off and tell me what you want to hear more of, either in my newsletter, my free newsletter, or in my podcast, please go to this URL. This will get you to my survey. I've already surveyed my newsletter folks. I want to survey you too. bit.ly/Jordan survey. BIT, it's B as in bottle, IT.ly/Jordan survey. And I'm going to include that link in the show notes. You can click on that and it'll take you 2 minutes. You tell me what you're looking for. Where's your trouble? Where's your pain point? So this is a general kind of overview, I guess, if you want to call it a pep talk, that'll give you some inspiration if you're stuck. I kind of favor the more localized sourcing, where I like to find stuff locally to source and resell on Amazon. But this will probably apply to any part of the business. The competition is up. You're among other sellers now. I get it. It's harder. I think it probably may seem harder today because you're kind of in that mental frame where you're seeing more sellers, and it's become harder. But I'm going to tell you a true story. It's very recent. And I think this is going to inspire you a little bit. Most of you know already, my wife and I just moved here to Las Vegas 3 months ago. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada, all the way from Long Island, New York. The circumstances why we moved are in episode 109. And it was very expensive to move here, to move all our stuff, all our belongings. We had a dog that passed on us. The vet bill alone was $8,000. The moving cost just to move here was $30,000, roughly. I don't know, somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. And, we have a significant amount of money socked away to buy a house that we kind of don't want to touch. So I said to myself, okay, let's see. Pretend we had nothing, because my income is varied. I have a little bit of trace of income from eBay. I have some income from selling products on Amazon that I'm ramping up again, because we had, as you know, in episode 109, we had a real bad couple of years in New York. And then good majority of my income comes from my information products and the fact that I'm an affiliate for other quality information providers. So a lot of my income is like digital income now. It's probably 70% of my income is from non-physical things. Like I sell my own information to Amazon and eBay sellers. I sell my own software to Amazon and eBay sellers. I refer people to other quality courses and sites where I'm paid a referral fee. But I said to my wife, I said, if we had to strip it all away, God forbid something happened, which is not going to happen, but if we had to start from scratch and start sourcing again, for sourcing products and making that our full-time income, like many of you listening here are like, you're counting on that part-time or full-time income from selling products on Amazon, where would we begin? How would we do it with like little or very little money? So here's what I did. You're going to find this interesting. I did the same thing I did 5 years ago when there was much less competition among sellers. And I did this about roughly 3 weeks ago. I got on the computer. I found the local libraries here in Las Vegas. I called every local library and I said, do you sell used books? Ones that I found that did sell used books, I wrote a list of where they were. Then I saw all the major thrift stores, and then I went to a few garage sales. Okay, let me back up before I get into what I found. I don't know if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. Gary Vaynerchuk is a famous author / entrepreneur / investor. He's written a lot of books on entrepreneurship. He started out selling wine. I think he had like a wine selling site that sold for millions of dollars, or a business that sold for tens of millions of dollars. I'm not a huge fan of his. There's others out there that are, devoted to, this Gary Vaynerchuk guy and promoting his books. And I'm not that much of a ardent follower of his, but I do know he's very rich. He's worked very hard to get there. But just very recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, he put out a video of him hustling, what he calls hustling, of him going to garage sales. So his whole theme in the video, and this is probably not verbatim, of course, but his whole theme in the video was, if I had to make $500 in a day, what would I do if I was flat broke? And he went around to some garage sales and he picked up products, that were used, and he spent, $10, $20, $30, and eventually got to the point where he spent, $100, and the net profit, if he sold everything on eBay, was like $500. And I talk a lot about that in my previous episodes. It's just remarkable that some guy of his stature and of his income would actually stop everything just for the visual impact to share with his followers or whoever. I mean, you can look on the YouTube on video, Gary Vaynerchuk yard sale, and probably find it, that he would actually show that he would reduce everything down to that. So that's essentially what we did. So I found used books, I found used CDs, I found new CDs, I found new books, and I found a used juicer at a garage sale that I paid, $25 for. It sells used on Amazon for $140. Yes, you can sell used appliances on Amazon. I suggest you make sure they're clean and ideally in the original box. So I might have spent, $200 in doing this for maybe the grand total of my maybe 8 hours of running around. Las Vegas is very disparate. You know what I mean? It's like, there's really not like 6 yard sales in like a 2-mile radius. You kind of got to go all over the place. The libraries too were kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? So, ideally, yes, you'd have a car. So I did that. I spent maybe not even, 100, somewhere between, I'm going to conservatively say $150. I probably spent significantly less than that. And I haven't sent everything in yet, but I will. But my gut tells me the net profit's going to be somewhere between $500 and $600. My wife went to a bunch of thrift stores as well. I went to some thrift stores and looked for books. She went to thrift stores and looked for things like still new and packaged baby items, used CDs, new and packaged adult sundry items like, incontinence pads or whatever. I found a couple of used electronics, a jar opener that sold for $60 that I paid for $10 for. So the stuff is actually out there. And the funny thing is, okay, and I'm not talking so much about private label and wholesale. We'll save that for another episode because that's not my specialty. I have partners that are specialized, that are very specialized in wholesale and private label. But in terms of sourcing locally, the funny thing is that everybody kind of gave up on Goodwill, for instance, Goodwill stores, because Goodwill stores, many of you know, they skim the good stuff off the top. I think they don't bother with anything but like books and media, so like books and CDs and DVDs. Whatever's incoming into the Goodwill stores, they're actually taking the good stuff and selling it on Amazon themselves. Many Goodwill stores are, or the regional Goodwill distribution centers that are receiving everything are doing it. So everybody all the sellers like me who are going to a Goodwill store and spending $2 on things that we're selling for $10, $15, $20, we're giving up and saying, oh, the Goodwill stuff, all the good stuff is taken. Ain't wrong. So, one of the thrift stores I went in was with local Goodwills, and I found stuff that was perfectly fine, that I bought for $1, $2, $3, whether it was media or electronics or whatever, that's selling for $10, $12, $15, $20, $25, et cetera. Garage sales, the same thing. We're lucky enough I guess out here in Las Vegas where they have garage sales year round. And homeowners, I don't know if it's unique to America where we live in a society where we like to get rid of a lot of stuff and, buy stuff on impulse and then not want it anymore the next day or what have you. So, garage sales, people are getting rid of things like juicers. Everybody gets on this health kick. I'm going to get a juicer, and they use it once and it ends up in the yard sale table. Right. And especially in Las Vegas where it's a very transient community. There's people that move here that suddenly want to move away, or they move here, they lost their shirt in gambling and they want to move away. It happens. I mean, I'm being dead serious. So when you think that there's the point of this podcast this episode is that when you think there's nothing around you that you can source to sell when you're about to give up, I've seen a lot of Amazon sellers quit. When there's nothing else, you think you have to look harder. You might say, Jordan, I don't live in a major city. I live in the middle of Minnesota where there are no thrift stores, there are no garage sales. My answer to you would be, well, if it's too much investment, which I can understand, to get started in doing something like private label, you don't even have like $500 to do private label or wholesale or whatever, then you want to explore online arbitrage, or you want to do what I did back in the day, is get in my car and drive 3, 4, 5 hours. I know a guy that does very well. His name is James. I'm not going to give his last name. He and his wife get in their car. I think they live in Oklahoma City. They get in their car and they make, I don't know, they do it once a week or twice a week. They're driving to areas that are 5, 6, 7 hours outside their hometown to go to, I don't know, I forget if they were going to like grocery salvage stores or liquidation outlets or thrift stores or yard sales or all of the above. It doesn't matter. The technology is there to tell you everything you need to know what's in your region, right? It's on your iPhone. You go to Yelp and you do a search for wherever you are for the nearest thrift stores, or you go to my favorite app for garage sales is gsalr.com. I'll leave that in the show notes. G short for, I guess, garage sailor, gsalr.com. Shows you where the local garage sales are according to where you physically are on your phone, with your phone. The same thing with retail stores. My wife and I went into a store, and I won't give the name away here because it could be for you, it could be any retail store. And we hit the clearance racks and we bought stuff that, we spent maybe, her and I together spent $300 that will essentially double our money on. Right. So we spent stuff with $300. It'll sell for maybe, it'll sell for probably between $600 and $700, maybe $800 after the Amazon fees. Will essentially double our money, give or take, 10% of that. So the retail stores, there, I know everybody is like, oh, gee, when the retail stores, there's nothing left. There is. Online arbitrage, the same exact thing. Follow the trends. If you like doing online arbitrage is the practice of finding stuff that's on sale online at the major retail stores, the Walmarts, the Kmarts, the Kohl's, etc., receiving that and then reselling it on Amazon via FBA. Online arbitrage has become more competitive. I get it. A lot of information in my blog, and I'll leave the links there, talks about shave costs off your online arbitrage. And I'll leave the link in the show notes. But the same thing, instead of just trying to figure out what's going to sell right away, you got to kind of plan out now. You have to plan 3, 6, 9 months ahead and buy your products that are going to have a better chance of selling in that 3 to 6 to 9 month time period, as opposed to doing what everybody else is doing. They want a quick buck, and it doesn't work like that anymore. So my wife and I will buy either in person or retail stores or online. We'll buy the Christmas-oriented merchandise right after Christmas, or 2 months after Christmas, or 6 months after Christmas, in the middle of June when online stores are getting rid of stuff. Or we'll do the same thing for Easter. My wife pounded the phones right after Easter and called all the regional stores for a certain Easter-themed product. I won't give it away. And she called every store across the nation, almost every store. There's a smaller chain that still has like nationwide stores, to say, do you have any of these left, and will you sell them to me? Will you ship them to me if I buy them? And are they clearance priced, etc.? So she did a little bit of a hustle on the phone, which was very impressive. So that's with online arbitrage. You got to kind of plan it in advance. About maybe right before we moved, I'd say about 4 or 5 months ago, HotTopic.com, I think it was Hot Topic, had a sale on Captain America backpacks. They're the soft backpacks that are shaped like the shield Captain America shield. And I know some of you think this is corny, but all you have to do is to see what blockbuster movies are coming out in the next 3 to 6 months and start buying the stuff now, right? So I knew that there's a new Captain America movie coming out called Civil War. I think it's called Captain America Civil War. And I'm not you guys know me, I'm a big Batman fan. I don't follow a lot of the Captain America stuff. I don't know. But I knew that movie was going to be big. I bought the backpacks at hottopic.com. I think I bought 21 of them for $10 a piece. They sold between 40 and the last few I just sold for $50 on Amazon FBA. So the merchandise is there. It's no longer, if you want the quick hit and you want to be doing the quick hit all the time and you want the instant profits all the time, you're not gonna win. No matter how you source your products, you have to start planning ahead. You have to be more creative. But my point is, what I'm trying to say is the stuff for you to profit with is truly everywhere, and you just have to look. And that's why I love sourcing locally at garage sales and thrift stores, etc. Because it's usually products that there's far less of those products out there. Right? It's far less competition because they're typically, whatever you're finding at a garage sale or thrift store is probably end of production. They don't make it anymore. And that makes it harder for people to source, but more unique for you. And the more unique for you, the more unique for the buyer. There's a niche buyer that's out there that wants to own that product and who is willing to pay for it. So that is the podcast for the day is don't give up. Keep looking. When you're about to quit, you're probably quitting for some superficial reasons, or you're quitting because you got a string of failures. When you fail once, twice, 3 times, you get back up and you try it again, because the opportunity is really too big for you to quit. Amazon is such part of the consumer's lives today, where everything can be shipped in 2 days. And I forget what the percentage is. I think it's 55 cents of every e-commerce dollar that a consumer spends is spent on Amazon. Right. So the majority of whenever somebody anywhere in the world, I don't know about outside the US, but let's just talk about the US. If they're buying something online, there's a 55 or 60% chance or something that they're buying it from Amazon. Right. Or in terms of the dollars spent. One more thing, there's a blog post I put up about maybe 2 months ago called Please Quit Now. And it's a tongue-in-cheek phrase about people trying to quit and why you shouldn't quit. And I will leave that link. If you want to jump to it now, go to askjordan.net and type in the search bar, Please Quit Now, and you'll probably be brought right to the article. But if not, I'm going to put it in the show notes as well. So that's it. That's my pep talk for today. I guess the theme of the show is don't quit, don't give up. And I will be seeing you again real soon on episode 111. You hang in there, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.